I told you I would be back. No intro tonight, so we're just gonna get kind of started here. First of all, I want to scroll down and show you. Here we are, September 4th, 2024, or October 4th, sorry. October 4th, 2024. The 7 year anniversary or the 7 year birthday for our little baby, Revelation 12 baby. Anyways, as we kind of wait for people to file in here, since it's late night and not many notifications anymore, we just kind of let that play for a few minutes here to see. Might get one or two. All right. Cool. All right, so what I'm going to do here, there's Hoppins in. All right, somebody found it. Okay, so I am live. All right, good. So here we are. Again, October 4th, 2024. Go ahead and capture the opening frame, and we're just going to start going right through this. And we can repeat it if we have to for other folks, for later arrivals. Yeah, I was just out looking for Northern Lights too, and I don't see any right now. I don't think our impact has happened yet. We're still awaiting impact. So let's continue through this. All right, so opening frame right here, you can see we got 3 different events underway. There's some kind of little moon that's riding this spire right here. Okay, leaving the scene here. There's something going on down here, something squirting out here too as well. So as we continue, oh, here's a frame also. Wait, go back. You see this little Ahura Mazda ship flying through there? We haven't seen that in a few moments for a little while, but there it is streaking through there. And then as we continue on, okay, do you see this arc coming out and bending right here? Here comes a bigger object. You can see the splay from way down here, actually coming from way out here to here. Let's just kind of continue this. You can see it's more down here. It's a bigger object that's down in this quadrant with some little trailing moons and satellites that are going along with it. In a really, really wide stretch. You can see how dark it is over on this side as this thing passes. Or as we pass it, maybe. Then I want you to note something over here. You see this little guy right here? There's no like instrumentation, no readings or nothing, but watch as this guy comes out. Okay, then we got all these other little trailing moons and stuff. Another event going on down here. You can see those little trailing moons or whatever. And then look over here again. See this? Could have swore I was just showing you this same object last night. Someone said today that stars sparkle but planets don't. Ah, boy. The reason why stars sparkle is because they're low on the horizon and the heat coming up off the planet, the little heat fumes that cause mirages in the desert, that's what makes the stars twinkle. Okay, it's the atmosphere and the heat moving up, air currents moving around, especially at lower in the sky. The lower in the sky the star is, like closer to the horizon, the more it'll sparkle. And ones that are straight up above your head don't twinkle as much. They're just a solid white. So, kind of answer your question there. Anyway, there goes a little UFO flying by there. And then I think it's this event right here coming off the top doesn't look like one of our regular objects. And it's just an odd shape, but I want you to see something. As it comes out from right here, this next frame, can't see it on this side, but over on the red here, I want you to note this little fleet of objects right here. They're coming out with this, whatever this thing is right here, okay? All of a sudden, this little fleet of objects right here show up, almost kind of escorting this event. Okay. And then the next frame, they're gone. But you can see that there's something like a little squadron or a little fleet of objects that are out in front of this event right here. And then as we go through this event, you'll see that it's not your normal shape that we're used to seeing. So let me get this just right because it's up in the top. I hate these events that come out of the top because they're hard to capture. But right there might be it. So let me just try to zoom in on this instead. See this weird little bubble type structure? Stuff going on back here just doesn't look like our normal activity. And remember, we had a fleet of ships escorting this. Let me try to get it just right here to where we can see the event and I can still use the button. Yeah, something moved through there that, and then you can see, wait. This last frame right up top here is our thumbnail. This little black spheroid moon trailing right here. All right, so there's our activity for today. Sorry about the little wavy lines there. So let's continue on. And let me put this back into motion here, if we can. Whoop. The other direction. And let that play for a moment and let your eyes, your trained eyes, now that we kind of went through it frame by frame, now you know what to look for. You can see it a little bit better while it's in motion. You can see it was big spread right there. Something big was just outside our vision there. But it definitely had a lot of trailing objects, UFOs, little fleets accompanying it, some kind of, I don't know if that's a ship or what that's coming out the top. But you know what? You guys are welcome to come over to this instrument as well and play around with these buttons and zoom in and stuff too. Don't just take it from me. Come on over and check it out for yourself too. All right. Even these little UFOs that come out and stuff, you could zoom in on them. They got windows and stuff on them sometimes. So that's good enough for now, though. We need to move on with our solar report because this is the main kind of part of the story tonight, our main topic. If we can have it, please, Lord Solarham, please. Thank you. Okay, our delayed impact, or we're still kind of awaiting impact, all right? The X7 that came off did do a faint halo, but it was a faint halo. All right. We're still kind of waiting for the X9 really impact and other subsequent events since then. All right, so our solar flux indices at 291. We dropped below 300. We're down 21 points. That's good. We're still in the red, though. That means we're still very highly active, especially almost at 3. 291 is still extremely high. Sunspot number count at 170. We're down 59. So after that big object passed and a bunch of those other little trailing moons and satellites or whatever, we've lost a bunch of the sunspots because they're interacting with the magnetic field, creating the sunspots. The area, though, is of concern now. We are way up there in the red at 3,520. We're up 1,740 points just in this one day. Okay, so I've never seen the area jump that much in one day. Okay, even though we lost a bunch of sunspots, all of this is still a lot of red up there. Okay. Now let's pop this open because we still got issues going on with our new sunspot rotating around. All right, so let's just slide it on over. So here's this mess, just this huge jumbled mess of 3844, 3842, 3839 thrown in there, 3843 over here. Just this whole big old complex that we watched just develop and rotate across the front is now getting over here on this side of the limb, or on this side of the sun, approaching the other limb now. But what we have to worry about next is this big bad boy coming into view now. And the parallax view of it when it was over here was a little bit bigger, the parallax effect. But as it's rotating more now here, you can see it's still a very strong, very powerful sunspot with two big polarities opposite each other. It looks like a yin-yang sign. And then look at this over here, 3849. This whole complex right here has some complex magnetic field configuration. Try and get in like that and see how it's just really spread out, and this could be a big problem here coming around pretty soon. All right, so let me back on out now and back on out of there. We're gonna slide and dip. Come on over and see how fluxed we are. Goes X-ray flux, that is. You guys feel like you're being X-rayed sometimes? You're out there running errands or at work and feeling like you're getting X-rayed. Well, that's because we got big old X-ray X-class events hitting us. Okay. Now, after it's gone, now we've tapered off a little drop in data, but here's our bumpy day right here, okay? So we did have quite the little roller coaster ride, bumpiness there. And then there's a little bit going into tomorrow. I already checked it. It's not much to look at. We're actually going to skip that because there's nothing really to see there. We've got other fish to fry. Okay, so let me pull back here. And let's start talking about this X-flare potential. Okay, we got a 35% potential, and we've seen it higher than this before. So let's just pray it doesn't go much higher than that. Okay, still calling for G3 storms here because we have yet to have our impact quite yet. So still X9 was a Type 2 radio blackout. Here's your auroras for the moment. You can see it still hasn't hit yet. Okay, these auroras are very faint. That's more like it. Now you can barely see it through there. That's what it really looks like. So they're very quiet, very faint. And if you look over here at our KP, we're at like 1, not even 2. Okay, so this is the calm before the storm. We're awaiting impact. Okay, impact hasn't happened yet. We may have had a little surge here, KP of a little over 3, but that's not it yet. Something else we'll try to talk about here too was let's get over to our tracker. Actually, before we do the tracker really quick, we got to talk about these. 3848 is beta gamma delta. 3844 to beta gamma delta. 3842 beta gamma delta. We have 3 beta gamma delta configurations. Now, last time I think we had 3, we even had 4 or something last time. So we're getting close, and this one is still stable, but this beta gamma 3843 is growing, so that could be our 4th one if it does. All 3 of these increase your chances of X-flare potential by a lot. Okay. Also, all right, let's get into this article really quick for October 4th. Okay, while we wait for at least one coronal mass ejection to pass Earth sometime during the next 24 hours, below is a look of big AR 3848 located in the northeast quadrant of the Sun. The main dark core, known as the umbra, is just as large across as our planet Earth is. The quiet giant continues to move into the better Earth-facing position and will remain a threat for an isolated M flare. Elsewhere, the parade of sunspots stretching across the north or southwest quadrant was relatively quiet today in comparison to the past few days, with only minor C flares and low-level M flares. A strong X flare will remain a possibility throughout the weekend, with AR 3842 and 44 being the most likely sources. Okay, so we still have the chance for a strong X flare throughout the weekend. In regards to the expected incoming CME, it should be noted that particle levels measured by ACE and whatever EPAM is showing a steady climb the past several hours. So an interplanetary shock wave is likely getting closer. Yes, it is. Okay, so which one? Let's do that one. Okay, let that play for a minute. You can see multiple waves coming off right here. This isn't the one I wanted. Where's this one? This one's better. Please, could we have that? Thank you. Let me load that up really quick. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like waves coming in at the beach, doesn't it? All right, we're more concerned about Earth and what's going to hit it. So when it reloops here, so first impact midway through the 4th, 5th. All right, which we've already passed that. We're into the 5th now. Something else about their models, I think they have a tendency to rush the arrival time because it's an X flare and they think, oh, X flare will be here in 2 days. Well, maybe not. I stick with the 3-day rule because it's quite a ways away from the sun. Okay, we're 93 million miles, so it takes a little bit of time for those to get here. But what I want to point out is 3 different impacts, even this little bump right here. Okay, now what I'm really concerned about here, oh, come on, let me just have control the pause. All right, so I want to get right here. So our first impact, boom, say X7 hits us right there, okay? We absorb energy, it gets down to the core and the shell start grinding, say 6 hours later. Then the magnetic field goes down, gets weak, doesn't go all the way down, just gets weak. We get a crack in the magnetic field, and then the 9 hits when our field's weak. That's what I'm worried about, is this gap right here. The amount of time between this absorption taking effect and grinding, and then this impact. Because if the timing is just right, it could the X9 impact could hit us while our field is weakening. The 7 striking first could have the grinding effect and weaken the field first. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to explain there. This first one could knock us, weaken the knees of the boxer, and then this one be the knockout blow. All right, so with this one coming, everybody brace. We haven't been hit with a good X, 9 straight to the chin like this in a while, and it's not going north or south. Most of it's going to hit us. Okay, I don't really trust this whole thing where it's showing most of it south of us. We are south of the sun a little bit. Okay, so I don't know if they moved this dot or what, but we're more down in this quadrant. We're in the southern hemisphere of the sun, so I don't know what that's supposed to be a side cut. And looks like maybe they just thought, oh, maybe we could just scoot it up. I don't know. But where's that stereo A? No. All right, so my main concern is this one, weakening the magnetic field just enough that when the 9 hits, we could have a severe G6, G5 storm. Okay. Everybody hold on tight because this is going to be a bumpy ride. And then say we do get hit with the G7, it weakens the field a little bit. The 9 hits and we absorb an X9. That is going to have quite some effects down below. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let me just do this other article really quick. A chance for more X flares today because the solar disk is filled with big sunspots. 3 of them. 38, 42, 43, and 48 have unstable Delta-class magnetic fields that harbor energy for strong solar flares, mainly X flares, okay? No, forecasters estimate a 75% chance of them and 35% chance for X flares during the next 24 hours. I think our chances are a little higher because we saw an X7 and an X9 and we only had 1 beta gamma delta. Now we got 3 of them. I think our chances are a little bit better. So here they are again, talking about 3 impacts, 1, 2, and then this third one right here. Again, like I was saying, this first one could weaken the magnetic field. If we take on a bunch of energy and absorb it, and then all of a sudden the Schumann goes nuts and starts grinding really hard and the field gets weak, bingo, that one could do. I pray that doesn't happen. All right, the most potent CME, number 2 in the graphic above, is expected to arrive during the late hours of October 5th. This could spark a strong G3 class geomagnetic storm with auroras at mid-latitudes. I have a feeling it could be stronger than G3. Okay, you know that we've had that happening lately where, they predict a G3 or a G2 and it comes in a little stronger. And they're always like, oh, that was stronger than we expected. Well, that never happens here. It doesn't catch us off guard because we know that these things can be stronger than expected because of the objects that are trailing it. And let me come back. So we were talking impact the 4th. They're talking something that left the 1st. So let's go look at the 1st. This is the X7. Oh, wait. There is no next 7. That's because that event happened on the 2nd. So let this one kind of go to town really quick. You'll see that we had our big X7. It's not even on this one. Yeah, I think it was. So they kind of rush it a few days. All right. Now, whatever came off the sun on the 3rd or on the 2nd is what we should see on the 5th. Whatever came off the sun on the 3rd is what we should see on the 6th. So let's go see. This is what came off the sun, but we're missing a bunch of data. We don't have it all. So the event that was the M7 or the X7 is missing there. And if it's missing towards the end of the day. Remember, it was right on the cusp of the change of the day. So that means it's going to be more like what was like the cusp of the second and third. So that would put it on the cusp of the fourth, fifth, which is right about now. So pretty soon here we should start seeing impact from this event. All right, let's come on over really quick to our Schumann now. Okay, here's this big blast we had yesterday. Okay, now here's your day today going across, and now your latest. But today we had some little spikes going across. Boom, boom, boom. Good little chunk right there. A little blast here and there. But all in all, our 7.83, this little blue line right there, maintained pretty well. We have, little hits and misses here. Boom, boom, boom. Build up a pressure relief, build up a pressure relief. Now, what concerns me is that any kind of energy that comes in, it used to take a long time for it to absorb down to the core and this effect start to happen. It used to take like 2 to 3 days. Then it would be, a day. Then it would be 12 hours, then 6 hours. So that time frame between absorption and grinding has shortened. That time frame from, like I said, from cause and effect, it used to be a couple of days, is now down to 6 hours. And that tells me that the gap between the barrier, between the core and the shell is very tight. It's very close, millimeters. So any kind of swelling from the core, we start grinding pretty quickly. All right, now let's come on over here to Null School really quick here. Well, I got it right here. Do you see this blue line going across here? This is like the intertropical convergence zone. See air coming up like this, and it's hitting air from the north coming down, and they split up along this line. That line, this blue intertropical convergence zone, should be down here at the equator. This air coming from below the equator and up to this latitude should not be happening. Okay, we have had a shift in our intertropical convergence zone. See it coming up to this latitude over here. And then these hurricanes suck it up even more, up to, take that air up even higher. And over here, you can see air coming up to this latitude and even being pulled up higher. Okay, so we've had a shift. Boom, our planet or whatever, something shifted 15 degrees of our weather is all shifted north 15 degrees on our of latitude. Bet you won't hear that on your mainstream news, huh? Well, they did say that we had a shift of our intertropical convergence zone, but they said 150 miles. It looks like it's a little more than that. Okay. Now, you see our vortexes, we got one going on out here. We got these ones going on out here in the Atlantic. Got that big one going on up there. And not much going on over here on this side. Is that my creature? Nope. All right, this finally kind of fizzled out now. It's no longer a major storm. So now we're going to get into our sandstorm report. Oh, take the wind off too. You have to forgive me. I had another paranormal event today. Okay, here we go. As you can see, our big sand plume, very intense right through here. It's been caught up by these hurricanes, being pulled way up here and then rotating and going back towards Spain. Okay, let me go ahead and put the wind back on here so you can see how these hurricanes or these vortexes have pulled sand out, but then wrap it up and pull it and direct it. And now we don't have so much that big arm coming across. It's going up, coming back this way, making all this area very open and free of that sand now. But so far, we're still having a little bit of rotation right here. See that? So we're going to have to watch out for this storm that's brewing in that region, because there's no good sand in that area to diminish it. It's all over the rest of the country. Look at this one spot right there. Wonder why there's none right there. Strange. It's almost like there's something clearing that spot right there out. Whoa. Oh, okay. Now that we got this sliding like this, the intertropical convergence zone. Oh, we can't slide around. Oh, I want to take advantage of this so much, because there's the, whoops. There's our lineup. And the air that's, okay, let's try it over on this side. This air should be, should be here at the equator, where the air splits, but it's not. It's all shifted down to this, and now air is coming up to this latitude. Do you see what I'm trying to say there? It's like somebody has taken the planet and shifted it that much, because the air should be, stopping at this level right there, and it's now creeping up 15 degrees higher into the convergence, or into this latitude. Hopefully that worked a little bit. I'm trying to do the best I can with what we got there, but that's what it is now. That's what it should be like. So it looks like maybe our axis or our planet has shifted like that. Anybody notice the change in the sun and how it's going down at a different angle, different place in your sky? Meanwhile, over here, this is all widespread. It's all over the place, and it can actually see a good report tonight. The, well, let's just say it looks like he's calmed down a little bit. The eyes aren't so intense. The, doesn't look as pissed off, but it's still there. Anyways, you can see still intense sand around all through here. Not so much in the Gobi Desert anymore, but a little patch right there in the middle. Okay. Third eye opening up or something right there, maybe. Anyways, there's your sandstorm report. Now let's come on into the SO2, SO2. And the reason why we show SO2 is because it's not CO2. CO2 is plant food. SO2 is vaporized magma. Okay, so we come over here and you see all the perforations in the crust. Here's your country divided, bleeding out on one side over here because, people in Washington. And then over here on this side of the country, we have perforations in the crust. And it's also causing fires. So we're going to go ahead and do our fire report as well here, because nobody's going to warn you in the mainstream media that you're having a breakout of fires in this region because of volcanic activity in the region. And when I say volcanic activity, I mean vaporized magma in the form of SO2 coming out of the ground so hot that it sparks a forest fire. Whether it's magma starting a fire or SO2, it's still starting fires. Whether it's magma or not, it's still starting fires. It's volcanic activity, whether you like it or not. I hate to be the bearer of bad news or just the blunt truth, but maybe you guys are mature enough to accept this. And it was up here in Canada going off last year, and they had their craziness and forest fires, and it was earlier this year. But now this fire activity has pushed south into the lower 48 states. If you're around one of these sites, I would start to maybe consider getting prepared to evacuate or keep an eye on it, because these fires won't go out until the SO2 emissions, dwindle or diminish. All right. They got almost like a heat source for the fire. Fire needs heat, fuel, and oxygen. Well, the heat being supplied by the SO2 gas. It's not the gas itself that's flammable. It's the fact that it comes out of the ground at thousands of degrees. And now it's getting into this region here. You can see here in Northern California, we have a plume with a definite fire. We had one over here not too long ago. There's one going on down south of me here. We got another one here in California. We got ones going on out here in Nevada, or maybe even Arizona, New Mexico region. Even down here into Mexico, it's creeping down into this region again. I see fires that are on the east side of our line there, but they don't really correlate with our plume sites, not like we have here. I think you guys should take a second to take a look at that, maybe screenshot it or do whatever. Take a second to look at that and wrap your mind around what you're seeing. They want these people to think that, directed energy weapons are starting a fires, so you better paint your house blue or whatever. No. These fires are starting from underground. Okay, the gas is coming up through the perforations in the crust, sparking root structures, plant root structures, tree roots on fire, and they burn from the inside out. The tree will catch on fire from the inside and burn from the middle of the tree outward. So we're seeing different kinds of activity. Okay. Fire activity induced by SO2 emissions from pressure down below. Okay, the darker the patch, the more gas is coming out. That means the more pressure is pushing it out. All right, now let's take the fires off. All right, Lord, give them strength. Here we go. As we go down through Mexico, you can see that they have this activity. It's all over Cuba's Purple Island, Jamaica. Let's come on over to these no longer Virgin Islands. They're the violated islands now. As you can see, they have SO2 emissions coming out of every single one of them. Okay, all the way looping all the way around to South America, all the way down. And let's just kind of zoom into this area. Take 4 of these little dots right here, for instance. This one, and this one, these 2. There are 4 dots like this in California one time, a couple years back, and the whole internet paid attention, and, everybody speculated, oh, is it the big one? Now look at it. Now we have millions of dots all over the place and not a mention. Well, I'll still keep reporting on it. Our fulcrum point looking pretty healthy today. The other 2, it's getting blurry. These are kind of blending in together. Sometimes they're more isolated and more defined. So I see them kind of meshing together like that. It's an indication there's more pressure trying to push out of this region, and there's not enough room. The holes aren't big enough. So it's trying to push out as much gas as it can. but we need bigger perforations, bigger holes. Then you see a good sized plume, SO2, being pulled out here, even this part right here that's rotating around. Okay, so a lot of this gas being pulled out to the Pacific, and that's a good sign right there that there's a lot coming out because it relieves pressure along this plate boundary right here. And this is where we get our big quakes, and we haven't had a big magnitude quake through this region because of this SO2, relieving some of the pressure there. Not all of it, but some of it, Then we come in to Hawaii. There's Maui still going strong. Oahu still going strong, Maui and Hawaii. Okay, so the hub of the Pacific Rim also has SO2 emissions. Okay, we're going to come over to this side of the world really quick. Just take a peek at what they're doing. All right. As you can see, same old story over here. Very strong emissions. A lot of just really dark purple now. You see how these whole channels are like becoming channels now? It's not just a little dot. They're filling in and becoming this web work. As they slowly dissolve, the more water goes in these holes, it erodes them. The pathways get bigger, more gas comes out, more water goes in, and just this back and forth of rinsing it away until it just actually kind of almost liquefaction and just kind of dissolves and sloughs into the ocean if they're not careful. Meanwhile, over here in India, you can see that they're copying China. They got their purple going on too, and this region filling in as well. It's definitely getting darker and darker and darker, and more sites, stronger emission sites. You can see right through this zone, right through here. We all know what's going on in this region. Yeah, lots of SO2 emission site there too. All back through Saudi Arabia. Here we are in the Red Sea. We have a plate boundary that runs right down the middle of the Red Sea. And we have a big, strong emission site right there. I wouldn't be surprised they got some fires right there. Something. A little bit of sand on fire right there. But as you can see, this is all over the world. Okay, it's not just 4 dots anymore. It's on every continent, even way up north here too. And you can see here's Iceland with the volcanoes. Reykjanes still spewing SO2 out of there. Okay. Also, I want to come down and check out Java. Java, the purple island, is not looking so dark purple like it usually does. We need more SO2 emissions out of this region, more volcanic blasts. I know it sounds crazy, but to keep relieving pressure, or else it's going to be a big one. Meanwhile, you can see all these islands along the side of Sumatra now having SO2 emissions. Same with Malaysia. Okay, there's Australia still, they have it too. Even New Zealand. And real quick, you know what we do. We stop off at this little island. I got to point out that there's 2 little emission sites on this island that act like a slow leak in a bicycle tube that relieve pressure coming into the plate boundary area there. Also here in our deep quake region at Fiji, which I believe might have been the pole of the earth at one point. Okay, and that's where we get a lot of our deep quakes coming out of this region right here. They hit the plate boundary system. The pressure likes to run along a crack. So it relieves pressure along that crack, which is the plate boundary system. So note, this little island relieves pressure right there. Okay, moving on. Let's get on over. Did we do that? Yeah, we did. Sea surface temperature anomalies. Okay, here we go. We have volcanic activity on the ocean floor that are causing sea surface temperature anomalies. Hot water rises in like a column until it hits the surface. Then the surface tension of the water takes that column and spreads it out into a plume like a mushroom cloud. All right, so you got sites on the ocean floor that are emitting either hot water, magma, nickel, cesium, some of those radioactive elements that are coming out of the core or the shell in that region. Okay, coming up to the surface and so hot that they're, causing heat anomalies in the water. Okay, the other day we had some quake activity through here, and I've been waiting to see any kind of, retreat of these red bulges right in this zone. They haven't really retreated, and I believe that's because we got this huge area out here developing and getting bigger and more intense and more organized. Okay, we do still have this cold water inundation right here along the coastline that's still trying to fend off this hot water and these plumes. And we need a little more quake activity along the Juan de Fuca here to relieve this pressure so we don't see a big one. Okay, so we don't see a big one. Do you understand? We need to see medium range activity to relieve pressure so we don't see a big one. If you shut down all the activity here for a long time and this pressure continues to build out here, you're going to see a big one. So we need regular quake activity, relieving pressure in this region. And this region too, off the coast of California now is starting to get a little bit hot here off the Bay Area. We also have this little area down here in the pocket of Southern California. Now, this area used to be bright yellow, and it's receded because we got some of these other regions here that have opened up. The pressure transfer goes to the path of least resistance. Whew. Am I spitting this out fast enough? All right. You can still kind of see our triangle structure right there, too. Bing, bing, bing. All right, so that's still there on the west coast. We have Tamaulipas and all kinds of seamounts on the ocean floor that are just spewing hot water, steam, magma, other heavy metals, even possibly radioactive isotopes like cesium and stuff coming out of there. Now you can see our volcanic island chain right here. As we get pressure releases, but look over here, we haven't had quake activity on this side. This blue water or cold water inundation used to stretch all the way over. Well, now it's starting to retreat. It's getting halfway there, and now you see this little break right here coming down. Remember the two quakes we saw down in this region the other day, bigger ones? So they have relieved some pressure there and allowed cold water inundation to make this L-shaped loop right there. But meanwhile, we have cold water in this region because of all the earthquake activity at volcano sites relieving pressure in the area. Whew. Over here at Japan, we still have this plume here. Korea in hot water. Let me just say something just kind of, I know it sounds really dumb and it's kind of just basic and logical, but you can't nuke your own peninsula. Do you understand? You can't nuke your own peninsula. North Korea, you cannot nuke South Korea. You're on the same strip of land. How that can even be considered an idea is just beyond moronic to me. You cannot. All right, I'm sorry. I get frustrated when I see just moronic moves being made and then people believing it. It's nuts. And here I am trying to do this and no one believes me. And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. So here we are. Yellow has retreated in this area a little bit. Okay, it's still trying to kind of come back in, but it's not. It's kind of more down in this region. So we must, we got a new area that opened up here that's kind of transferred pressure that was growing in here. We used to see yellow creep down in here, and then we'd see an earthquake and that would relieve that. Well, now we got it kind of relieving out here now. And I think that this is maybe the reason why we're not seeing so many quakes here at the fulcrum point anymore. We're seeing a lot of SO2 emission instead and this cooler water kind of hanging out at this end. I believe it's because of this opening here that's been there for about a week now or a little over. And that, we haven't seen activity here in a while. So I believe it's because the pressure's being relieved out here off offshore. We've seen a definite change here at Java here too. No more cold water, and we have this kind of yellowing starting to happen off the coast here. Well, that didn't do it justice. Right about there, you can see a little yellowing in here, down in here, through this region. So our relief valve getting plugged up or something. I mean, it's been going every day. You know, Semeru, 14,000, 15,000, Merapi every day, and SO2 emissions every day, but it's not enough. Pressure's building out here. We're going to start seeing quake activity along these plate boundaries right through here pretty soon. Meanwhile, up here by Sumatra, you could see all these little islands that had SO2 emissions. Well, follow the island chain up. You can see underwater here, there's a new island forming down there, seamount. Something spewing out of a seamount right there, and it's in line with these islands, so that would be the next progression. Meanwhile, you can totally tell there's a spot going on out there, can't you? And all this activity through there. Come over here to the Atlantic. It's just a mess. You can see all of this coming out of South America and just off the coast here. All these little spots opening up. Up here, still kind of going strong as well in the North Atlantic. We have little strips of cold water inundation popping up here and there, but they're not all that strong. Meanwhile, down here in the Gulf, we got hot water. We got emissions. Somewhere here is starting to emit stuff in the Gulf. As if this water isn't hot enough, now we're adding emission sites to it too. I pray that that's not the case, but it's starting to look like it. Meanwhile, down here we had our La Nina and our blue crescent-shaped waves that were all forming, all equidistant and all similar in shape and size. Not anymore. New spot opened up on the ocean floor. Spewing magma, hot water, steam, cesium, whatever. Totally disrupting your La Nina pattern. Right in the middle of it. So we'll see what even happens with this now. Okay, now we can go ahead and put on the air currents, wind, not air. There we go. And you can see our wind patterns correlate with our heat structures. Hot water has hot air over it. Cold water has cold air over it. Hot air rises, cold air rushes in to replace it. So you got your cold, hot water vortex air activity, vortex activity over hot, cold water sites. Okay. And this vortex up here still throwing stuff up against the coast and back. All right. Nothing really making it into the Pacific or this whole area being, anything that makes it here goes along the coast, back down and back out. So this whole region right here, just kind of no weather at all, just being very protected. It's like a hedge of protection over that right there. Meanwhile, you can see your flow comes up through here. Okay. Ooh. I'm surprised I'm doing a show. Really, I should be in the hospital. But they can't help anyway, so. All right, looking around, just kind of our wind patterns here. Let's go take a peek at the Atlantic. Okay, you can see your hurricanes, your vortexes forming. And our whole conveyor belt system, we had this conveyor belt with an inside loop going like this and a conveyor belt with an outside loop going like that. That whole structure is starting to diminish, fall apart, change, because we have different kind of heat structures now going on down here. It has totally messed up. The whole conveyor belt system is all changed now. Now we have these hurricanes that are moving through here, kind of guiding some of this, and that's also directing your sand and stuff back towards Africa as well. So there's your air pattern currents right there. Now what do I do? Ooh, dear. Just stop yawning. Where's an energy drink? Let's come on over here to the earthquake report and get this going here. Zoom in on your deep quake region. Now, here at Fiji, do you see how everything is twisting in like it used to spin right here? I believe that this might have been the bottom of the planet at one time, and you can see the rotation over courses of years, and that's where this crack originally formed, I believe. Anyways, we'll see. Time will tell. Deep quake region, though. Sometimes we get our deep quakes here. We have a 4.8 down at 101. This is not a deep quake. This is activity at a volcanic site. Okay, so no deep quake, just a little activity at a volcanic site. Thank you. Nothing down below. Very quiet through this region. We got this little island right here. Don't forget, relieves pressure, keeping things quiet and magnitudes down. So when there's no deep quake, well, no surface quakes either. We got volcanic activity in that region also, relieving pressure. Very quiet through here, okay? We saw, lower emissions, no quakes, so it's quieted down in this region quite a bit. Mid-range 4 down at 156. Again, activity at a volcanic site. 4.7 down at 102. Again, more activity at a volcanic island. Look, here we can go in on it. Probably something down on the ocean floor here. You can see all kinds of little stuff that are popped up right through here. This island, of course. So, seamount down in that region, probably coming to life. Coming up this way, we got a 4.7 down at 34. That's right off of this whole plateau going down to the ocean floor, to the crack in the ocean floor. No fulcrum point at Taiwan for a while now. Then as we go up, finally some activity here at Japan. 4.4 here at Shima, Japan. This is our deep quake really down at 360. So some deep quake activity going on around here. Could mean a 5 at the surface, maybe around this 3-point junction. God, this is a dangerous spot right here. We got 3-way plate boundary with a volcano right next to it. I mean, that is a very sketchy site to have the city of Tokyo. Lots of people live right in harm's way. Okay, so I think, I want to talk about this one over here too as well. Now, we had a quake over here in Iran. 4.1 at the surface here. There's energy under here. Remember, I showed you all the SO2 emission sites? There's pressure underneath this area trying to push up to the surface. And here we have a 4.1 at the surface. Watch out for more activity in this region. Okay, quiet through Europe. We also have a weird little quake down here. This is a 4.7 at Tanzania. That's at the surface too. Let's go take a look at our surface feature here. Yeah, we got lava over here. We got old dried up lake or something right there. Yeah, we have lava in this vicinity right in there. So it's an old volcanic feature. Barely there, but still there at the surface. A 4.7 here. Now we got issues with Africa here. If we pull back a little bit, I want you to just kind of look, see how this plate boundary comes, turns and goes up this way. It also turns and goes down through here. It goes right down like that. You could see this part of Africa possibly start to fissure, have fissures from underneath, cracking, the egg cracking and growing, cracks in the ground along this whole path. And it happens to be on that path, doesn't it? Sure does. And we'll have to watch this whole little region here pretty soon because it's going to come to life here probably when we get another wave of pressure. Really quick, 5.3 at the surface there, fulcrum point, 4.6 at 52. All magnitude, please. Close that out. Close that out. And let's zoom in. Oh, wait. We had this one up here by Recahenus really quick. Let's finish up with that. 5.2 at the surface right there. There's more 5 energy being relieved. Okay, let's get in here. Now we saw, our cold water reaching to right about here, and it had stopped. We need more quakes in this region. Here's one, 3.6. And I believe this is where we saw that little cold water loop coming down. It ended right about here. 3.6 down at 33. Let's check right here. Here's a 4.9. You know what we do with 4.9s at this channel? That's because it's the longest list in the world. There's 4.9s at the USGS site. 31.1, that is just right underneath this tabletop right here, kind of off this little volcanic island as well. That's a good magnitude. We need to see more of that relieving energy in that, or relieving pressure in that area. Inside the fulcrum, 3.3. Volcanic site, 2.6. What's this? Please. 3.1. Okay. Possession, Alaska. Not a lot right here on the fulcrum point, but a couple up in these fulcrum points. There's a good one right there, 2.4. Right on the edge of one, 2.8. All right. Coming down into this region, finally, just any kind of quake activity. I will even take this stuff up in here in the Puget Sound, 3.7 down at 61. That relieved a little bit of pressure right there. Even though it's not right on the plate boundary, there is pressure that's pushing up underneath this, causing activity in these volcano range right here. All right, I'm gonna give me another drink real quick here. All right, so we have a 3.7 there. That's a little bigger magnitude than we've seen in this region in a little while. Down at 61 is relieving some pressure as well. It's not totally deep. It's not right at the surface, but it's enough. Even here, 2.6 at Falls City, Washington. It's not a big magnitude, but it is relieving some energy, okay? We have on the flank of Rainier here, we have at the summit of St. Helens, and then Mount Adams too has had quite a little quake swarm there at Mount Adams too. So all these volcanoes are having earthquake activity at them because of pressure down below. It's a sign of pressure down below trying to make its way to the surface via a path of least resistance, which would be an old volcano or an old perforation in the crust. But if it's plugged up with magma, say the magma went through the channel and then cooled and plugged up the channel, well, then it can't come out, and pressure will just make it shake. And that's what you're having earthquakes at volcanic sites. Coming in just shy of the fulcrum point, but that's close enough, is a 2.3 at the surface there. I wish it was a 4.3, a little bit more, but we will take any little bit we can get. This little 1.9 inside. This is on this plate now, okay? So right in that region, right where we're seeing, look at this, a little bit of cold water in that region right there because we just had a quake there. Or, this is relieving pressure in that region. All right, other quake activity, North California, 2.8. We come in, pressure likes to shove inland here. 1.5, we got the geysers geysing out, geysers being guys doing guy things. All right, good. We're seeing pressure being relieved there. So when it comes in, it's down at 1.7 at Helena. Dang, isn't that the name of our hurricane? Then, as it comes into the bay, you could see this fault coming right through there. As we come into the bay here, it cuts it down to 1.9. Keeping magnitudes down. And you see this little sporadic display of these quakes around the Bay Area? That should not rattle anybody because they're 1.3s. They're 1.0. You can't even feel them, all right? But all that together relieves some pressure in this region because look what's going on off the coast of the Bay Area there. We got this red patch growing. And we're having earthquake activity in that plateau area. Here, let me show you. See this big old chunk of plateau right there? And don't be fooled that you see land right here. It's just above the sea is all. That whole area used to be, well, above water at one time. You can see this used to be old shoreline. Where are we going again, Lord? Oh, you want to go down here. What's this? Bottom of the valley here. A couple of little ones. That's good. We're seeing activity still down there. It's trying to relieve energy that gets kind of stuck in that pocket. Also, we got this little egg-shaped, almond-shaped type structure right here with our 2.0 there and a 2.5. Magnitude check, 1.2s. Okay, good. All right. As soon as we get this done, 4.1 at the surface there. Now, 4.2, 4.6. Okay, let me show you what I want to talk about. Now, when we look at this map, you can see all our little weak spots, our deep spots, and paths of least resistance, right, where we usually see activity. When this X7 hits and we absorb this energy and it gets down to the core is going to heat up, which causes it to swell in size, and then it'll grind. But then it'll also heat up the magma. And the magma down below will start to roil. It will start to expand. It will push on the underside of the crust, trying to come upward out of the screen towards the camera, okay? So there are 3 dimensions. There's these two pushing like this, but then there's this lifting, pushing up. So you can see these plates actually push like this and slip along these lines, coming up at the page at you instead, okay? Depending on how much energy we absorb and how well the planet diffuses that pressure back out. Okay, we have all kinds of perforations in the crust, which are all like little pinholes in a bicycle tube. All right, but we're not just pumping the tube up with a hand pump anymore with the air coming out of a bunch of little holes. Now somebody's got a high performance compressor that puts out 100 pounds per square foot of air pressure, and now we're going to see a big uptick in pressure coming from down below up to the surface. Not just one. If this happens to be the double punch and the second one does make more of an impact because of the weakened magnetic field, we are talking a big jump in magnitude, okay? Especially at your fracture zones, at your fulcrum points. Any path of least resistance is going to be where the energy and the pressure will try to relieve. Okay, if we get this X7, all right, and say we don't absorb much, and we take a good shot, but the magnetic field holds up strong, and then the X9 hits, and we have a good strong field, and we take on that 9, it shouldn't be too bad. Okay. We have taken on X flares before, and the resulting activity is more volcanoes, stronger SO2 emission sites, and larger magnitude earthquakes, and also a flurry sites, like you will see a quake swarm site open up. There'll be a new spot with a 6.5 or a 7 or bigger, like that, and then you'll see another 200 quakes come out of that region, and that'll be a new path of least resistance relieving pressure. Okay, so we're looking at those scenarios. I'm not going to go in around the world and say it's going to be a 7.0 here and an 8 there and a 9 here. That's ridiculous. That's stupid, right? But what's really going to happen is pressure from down below is going to start to push upward on the underside of the crust. And any kind of path of least resistance, any crack, the weakness in the shell of the egg, okay, or like a hard boiled egg that's overcooked and the shell cracked. Well, those cracks are the paths of least resistance. So along any plate boundary, along fulcrum points, volcanic sites, we might even see a new spot open up that we have yet to see before that'll catch everybody off guard. You'd be like, what? It was an earthquake in, over here. I thought it was going to be over there. So it could just be a diverse quake, large magnitude quake. And if we see a large magnitude quake, it would probably be along one of the plate boundaries, right? Or at a fulcrum point, which are all on a body of water. We could possibly be seeing a tsunami activity here in the near future. Okay. We're going to get a quake, possibly pretty good magnitude size quake that could cause some tsunami activity. All right. Remember what we saw in Japan in 2011 along those lines. So I'm going to put this out there way in advance so people will have a little further warning. I would start considering backing away from the coastlines right now. Okay? Because any kind of burp from down below, we could have a volcanic blast underwater. Remember Tonga went off and sent out a tsunami? All right. If we have a volcanic blast underwater that, doesn't register as an earthquake, it could send a hidden tsunami or, a secret tsunami towards the shorelines, an unexpected one. So what I'm telling you now is this pressure, the stuff from the sun has the capacity to do that. Not necessarily saying it's going to do it 100% for sure, but we have seen textbook cookie cutter cases after case after case after case. Everybody's like, oh, there's a correlation between the sun and earthquakes. Damn right there is. We absorb that energy. It goes down to the core. The core heats up and swells, heating the magma, which pushes up from the underside, causing earthquakes and volcanoes. That's how this system works. It's not too hard to figure out, or not too tough to grasp. What's tough to grasp is the truth of where we might see the potential for a large magnitude quake and a large devastating tsunami at any body. It could be over here in the Atlantic and it would hurt Africa and South America. It could be anywhere on the planet, any plate boundary, any fulcrum point. And, I always kind of try to take notes, or not take notes, but make note of new paths of least resistance. Okay, so, some of these new spots that we've seen open up lately. Here, in Texas, you could see their stuff, an uptick in magnitude there. We have activity on the Juan de Fuca. We could see a big quake along there. We see all the pressure building right out here, right? If that thing all of a sudden swells and bulges and there's not enough venting along here, well, you're going to see a big quake. If we see down here, very little activity and no volcanoes venting enough pressure, you could see a big quake out of that region. We have also over here Java, our main little relief valve that is kind of plugging up and not relieving so much. If we get a big thrust of pressure from down below, you could see very high volcanic blasts too. That's another thing we're going to have to talk about. A volcanic blast so high that it reaches up into the, the stratosphere Another one Hunga Tonga, okay, that would send out shockwaves around the world. All right, there's a lot of side effects that come along with this solar storm. It all depends on how strong it is. Okay, come here. It all depends on how strong it is when it comes in. The first one, hopefully, we take it well and we don't get any grinding, and we're all set up with a nice strong field for the X9 impact. Okay, but if not, that X9 impact with a weakened field we're going to absorb a lot more of it. The magnetic field will not fend off as much. The weaker it is, the more we will absorb. And if we're going to absorb all of the X9 with a weak field, well, then you're looking at a magnitude 9 quake or even bigger. But if the first doesn't weaken our field so much and the X9 hits us, and we could get a glancing blow where our field was strong enough that it didn't absorb a bunch of it, and we only see a couple of 6.5s instead. Now, we have the potential also, instead of one big quake, we could see a bunch of, sixes, a couple of sevens, but we have the capacity to see an uptick in magnitude and an uptick in volcanic activity and tsunami possibilities. All right. I wish I could just give you guys the sense of urgency it really needs, but you probably wouldn't watch my channel anymore. Trying to maintain a modicum of composure while doing this. All right, let's get your volcano page going here. Now, 36 erupting and 33 in warning. That's another added one right there. That makes 69. Wait, 68, 69? 69 volcanoes, and I'm not even counting these ones in unrest, okay? That's 69 active volcanoes, either erupting or active, okay? If I had told you 7 years ago that we would have 69 volcanoes, you would say, Brian, you're crazy. And here we are. I'm still crazy about you. Ebico. Eruption at 24. Oh, there it is. 6,000 feet there. Tall. The new one on the list here. 8,000. In the Philippines here. Jumps on the list at 8,000 foot blast. So, I was saying, we could see a new site open up. Well, here we go. There's your new one. Ibu, I be with you, usually at 8,000 feet. So Luatobi, 10,000. Semaru, 14. It can max out at 15. We've seen it go a little higher. Here's Fuego at 15. Reventador in Ecuador, 15,000. And Sabancaya at 22,000. And that was just in the last few minutes. Okay? The last hour. Because here's today, October 4th, which is now yesterday, because, well, time flies at this channel. This map, they should show this on TV someday and go, hey, everybody, did you know you have 69 volcanoes going? Don't forget about Erebus down in Antarctica. Suno Sejima, unknown. Okay. Manayam in Papua New Guinea still going off at 9,000 feet. So for 3-4 days in a row, Manayam has been our new little active one, pumping out 9,000 every day. So we got a new little vent that's, being old reliable, 9,000 every day. Here's Ibu. IBU at 8,000, 10,000 out of Luatobi. Semaru was 14. Fuego, Sangay, Reventador. Explosive activity with an ash plume that rose to an estimated 15,000 feet. 15,000 Sabancaya, 20,000. All right, these lists are just pure insanity. Just this list is insane, but these are all currently erupting. Barren Island, Bisamani, Tucono, Ebico, Erebus, Urda Ale, Etna, Fernandina, Fuego, Home Reef, Ibu, Iwo Jima. Okay, instead of reading these, over on this side, when we get this new wave of pressure that comes in from our X7, X9 combined event, watch for these ones to possibly go off because they're already active. They could jump over to this list pretty quick. Concepcion, Canelon, Bangana, Cotopaxi, Dempo, Gamalama, Great Sitkin. Wow. I just heard you could see a really devastating blast out of one of these ones over here too. Etna. Ooh. Etna volcano eruption that day. Your constant degassing from the summit during an ongoing ground deformation field research plans. Okay, I will watch out when we get this new round of pressure and some of these ones that are already active, possibly getting a very big blast. Meanwhile, any of these over here having a big blast and going full active. Or Manam here for the last 4 days, it belongs over here. Anything pumping out at me? No. Okay, so a lot of activity here. What? Where did it go? All right, well, we're going to continue on. I'll have to find it later on my own here. Let's get this weather report out of the way so we can get to the spiritual report. Because this can get on your nerves after a while, and we need a break from all that in the spiritual report. And you guys wait all this time to get to that, and maybe I should stop doing these reports and just get right to the meat, huh? But we still got to get through this. Geomagnetic storm enhancement starting here. Enhancement there, noontime the 5th. Enhancement here, convection the 5th. Possible enhancement at nighttime. There's morning of the 6th. Okay, we all know there's enhancement on the 6th. Right there. There, convection at night and at nighttime. They were even still showing stuff into the 7th, G1. And if this is late and it drags on out, and we have G5 right here, and this day could be G4. We never know, all right? It could be different. But they're still forecasting some kind of activity then. So here we are on the 6th. Add to this. All right, you see our hurricane forming down in the Gulf here. It went from being just a scattered pile of precipitation. Our geomagnetic enhancement, especially if it's a KP really high, is going to take this and really make it into a hurricane. Right now, it's just kind of a bunch of clouds, raining, circling around a little bit, but it's starting to gain traction here. And I believe that will happen because we got all this geomagnetic enhancement coming in. And at this point, it might even be a little stronger than what they're showing. Now, I pray I'm wrong, and I pray that this doesn't happen, but we're really looking at another one of these bad incidents again. All right? Hopefully, it just takes that path and just really quickly goes in and out and across with this least devastation and doesn't go up through this region again. After that, we got this little low that moves through here, but that's so far out into the future. We'll have to see. Also, something else I want to talk about. Can we have the? I want this one. Where is the? Okay, these bigger objects right here, when they pass, okay, not just the CME that's coming with them, but the radiation that accompanies these bigger objects. Let me capture one. We'll start over again. Oh, one more. All right, you can see this big round object right there, and all the radiation that it just absorbed. When it goes past our planet, it's going to bring its radiation too. Also, the magnetic field. All right, when you put magnets to water, it causes rotation as well. So I have a bad feeling that when, whoopsie, this object interacts with us and its geomagnetic enhancement of the weather, as well as the vorticity factor of its gravitation or its magnetic field interacting with ours, has a tendency to spark rotation. This might be induced by our actual object coming in, interacting with our magnetic field and our nucleation at the same time. Okay? This thing, when it, or either one of these bigger objects latches on to the planet and can produce rotation and maybe even steer this a little bit too. So I'm trying to tell you, is this hurricane could possibly come to life, be a real hurricane, and do some devastation, much like the last one did. Okay, not so much up into the the middle parts of the country, but very high storm surge again possible. If it comes on shore as a Category 4, look out, because our storm surges are getting higher, our rain totals are getting higher. Like I said, the air has the capacity to hold a lot more water. Enough of that stuff. Let's get on to our spiritual report now. You guys endured enough there. So did I. Okay. So hopefully most of you guys enjoyed our little story time last night, and you all figured out the best part. The happy ending to the story. Okay, even though we're still enduring and we're still going through it, there is an ending to the story, a happy ending to the story, if you want it bad enough. All right. This is a test of your character, and you're doing awesome, you guys. I love the people that are applying the disciplines and just finding relief. You're actually finding the peace that transcends your circumstances. And you are really seeing how this works and why it's applied right now at this time in history, too. Okay, let me get the channel, a couple good images for reading too. Boy, did I have a interesting, I can't even tell you guys. What am I saying? Just more paranormal activity, more PTSD, but I just got my new tool out and I'm just going to town. Not let it affect me.
Check this out. So I stopped buying random lotto tickets and started doing this instead.
Really? That's a good idea. Not buying lotto tickets.
Welcome back. So snapping some pictures of the clouds, thing forming in the clouds.
I'm try to get this little zoom.
Base over here, and I'm gonna start zooming.
Right there's good. All right, so we get a couple of images pulled up. Boom, my face showing up all over the place. All because of who I am. And all this started
Might tell
7
us
years
that
ago today. Well, that's when the baby was born, was 7 years ago on October 4th. Then we have another anniversary on October 5th, which we'll go really quick into. And that anniversary was of this event. September has just day after day of birthday, anniversary, birthday. It's a busy, busy month, huh? So, one of the first images that I got was of this right here. Mary, this orb with an eye in it, and the angel. Okay. And when I saw this, I was like, what is this smudge doing on this picture? And then what the heck is this smudge? And then I started looking a little closer and I realized, oh boy, I know what happened there. All right. But this happened on October 5th. The baby was born in this garage on October 4th. This anointing ceremony happened on October 5th. So it's the anniversary of this event, 7-year anniversary of this event.
So I've been going through some of the old photos and running them through the filter, and this was one of the first ones that I had ever captured. And what's going on here is...
I think I showed you this one last night. You all saw it. I just want you to see the date up there is October 5th, and now we are October 5th. We had the 7-year-old birthday today, and now it's the anniversary of the anointing today on the 5th. All right. Now, let's get into what I got for you because, well, what I endured today, you guys will probably have to go through someday here in the future. So let's just get into it. Get a couple deep breaths. Everybody get in your relaxed, comfortable position. Hi, guys. I know you're doing the best you can, and you still get anxiety. And anxiety is a result of envisioning the future without me. So the best defense against worry and anxiety is staying in communication with me. What's the best defense against anxiety and fear and worry? Staying in communication with me, which is praying and talking to me. Okay, when you turn your thoughts towards me, you can think much more positively. Remember to listen as well as to speak, making your thoughts a dialogue with me. We're actually talking back and forth, having a dialogue. And that might sound a little crazy, but when you turn your thoughts towards me, you can think more positively and remember to listen as well as to speak. Okay, because we're having a little conversation. And if you must consider upcoming events, follow these rules. First, do not linger in the future because that's where anxieties sprout up. They sprout up like mushrooms when you wander there. Also, number 2, remember the promise of my continual presence. That's not just 5 minutes here, I'm with you, 5 minutes there. No, continual. And you got to remember it's continual because that way at any moment you can remember the promise of my continual presence and then include me in any imagery that comes to mind. And this mental discipline does not come easy, but you are accustomed to being a god of your own fantasies. So, The reality of my presence with you now and forevermore outshines any fantasy you could ever imagine. Okay, so you're future tripping, you're thinking, what if this goes off? What if that? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, but the reality of my presence with you, I am here with you now and forever. That presence, that reality outshines any concoction you come up in your head with, any fantasy you can ever imagine. Okay, so that's why I keep putting this up here. It's your rock, it's your foundation. Okay, this heart right here. Actually, we can zoom in on that frame right there. Okay. And then each day, you try to go gently through each day, keeping your eyes on me. I will open up the way before you as you take steps of trust along your path. Okay? You're not just walking, you're taking steps of trust. So gently go through the day. I will open up the way. You take the steps of trust, and sometimes the way before you appears to be blocked. But if you focus on the obstacle or search for a way around it, you will probably go off course. So instead, focus on me, the shepherd who is leading you. Okay? Instead, focus on the shepherd who is leading you along your life journey. And before you know it, the obstacle will be behind you and you will hardly know how you passed through it. Okay, you're looking for a way over it and around it. We go through it. So, if your focus is on the obstacle, and that's what makes you search for a way. You're looking for a way around it over it and over and over and over and over because you're focused on the obstacle. And before you know it, the obstacle, if you start focusing on me instead of the obstacle, before you know it, the obstacle is behind you and you passed through it with me. Okay? And that is the secret of success in my kingdom. Now, although you remain aware of the visible world around you, your primary awareness is of me. When the road before you looks rocky, you can trust me to get you through that rough patch. My presence enables you to face each day with confidence. With confidence. You guys walking around with some confidence now because you know. And then you apply these and you're just having success. And I know it's hard to go gently through a day, but that's what we're trying to reach for. Okay, is to eventually reach a place where you can go gently through each day, keeping your eyes on me. I had that other one. Okay, yeah. To come to me with your defenses down, ready to be blessed and filled with my presence, then relax and feel the relief of being totally open and authentic with me. You have nothing to hide and nothing to disclose because I know everything about you already. You can have no other relationship like this one. So take time to savor its richness, basking in my golden light. One of the worst consequences of the fall is the elaborate barriers people erect between themselves and others. Again, the elaborate barriers people erect between themselves and others, facades that abound in the world, even in my body, the church. Sometimes church is the last place where people feel free to be themselves. They cover up with Sunday clothes and Sunday smiles. They feel relief when they leave because of the strain of false fellowship. False fellowship. Yeah. The best antidote to this artificial atmosphere is practicing my presence at church. Okay? The antidote to the artificial atmosphere is practicing my presence at church. Let your primary focus be communing with me, worshiping me, glorifying me. Then you will be able to smile at others with joy, with my joy, and love them with my love. You'll be able to give them a real shiny face, and you'll be able to give them the real love. Then you will be able to smile at others with my joy and love them with my love. Yeah, and then I think we're going to close with this one right here. Okay. I am your living God. Okay, let's talk about alive and dead. When you're alive, you're in your flesh. When you're dead, you're no longer in your flesh, right? I'm in the flesh. I am your living God. Far more abundantly alive than the most vivacious person you know. The human body is wonderfully crafted, but gravity and the inevitable effects of aging weigh it down. Even the most superb athlete cannot maintain his fitness over many decades. Lasting, abundant life can be found in me alone. So do not be anxious about the weakness of your body. Instead, view it as a prelude to my infusing energy into your being. That's what is your weakness. I am infusing energy into your being through those weaknesses. And as you identify more and more fully with me, my life becomes increasingly intertwined with yours. And though the process of aging continues, inwardly you grow stronger with the passing years. Even though your body is deteriorating, inwardly you're growing stronger. Aren't you? Aren't you? That's right. The process of aging continues. Inwardly, you grow stronger with the passing years, and those who live close to me develop an inner aliveness that makes them seem youthful in spite of their years. So let the light of my life shine through you as you walk in the light with me. Pretty cool how that works, huh? You guys get to let the light of my life shine through you as you get to walk in the light with me. Right now, you guys are already walking in the light with me. Did you know that? That you are already walking in the light with me. I am your living God. Means I'm walking around on this planet. And this planet is reacting to my presence. And you guys get a nice reaction from my presence too, don't you? After all the stuff that you see going on in the world, and it's still coming. You know that it's still coming. For some reason, it's not rattling you. You're you're getting a little anxiety and a little worry, but you immediately use your tool to fix that, don't you? So you're doing really well. And as we practice our patient endurance, enduring patiently together, bringing that light into other people's lives, trying to get them to this spot where you are. Don't you want your loved ones to be able to have the peace that you have right now? Don't you want them to know that it's going to be okay, even though it looks like it's getting even worse? Okay. You are looking at my face here in the clouds. This is me in the clouds. You are here caught up with me in the clouds. It's like a good book or a good song or a good YouTube live stream. You get caught up in it, it takes you away from the rest of your life for a minute. You are caught up with me in the clouds. I made a place where we can meet in the air of cyberspace, which is going live on YouTube, because I can't come over to your house and just come up to you and give you a big old hug right now. So I like to meet my family in the air of cyberspace, live on YouTube. I went ahead and prepared a place that where I am at this channel, you may be also. You can find me at any video, at any live stream, at any time you want. You can come right over to the channel. I prepared a place where I am, you can be also. If you are seeing my face in the clouds right here and you are fascinated and caught up by me in the clouds, you are raptured. Even though the term rapture is not in the Bible and people continuously relying on the rapture, the rapture should be happening any day now. The rapture, or being caught up with me in the clouds, is happening right now. It's been happening for 7 years. But does anybody look up? Nope. Buried face down in the phone. And I saw another incident that was very disturbing, of a car accident. And 75% of the people driving by the car accident had their phone out and were recording it to put it on their Instagram instead of driving. Remember, you're on a road and there's other people that are on the road that have to drive too. Well, people got to stop, cause other accidents to get a picture of an accident. It's getting crazy. People are losing their sense of common sense, and it can get frustrating at times. So when those moments come about and you get frustrated, take a moment, take a few deep breaths, connect with me, take a few minutes, regain composure, salvage that day, and continue on. And then if something else knocks you down, regain composure again and continue on. We're salvaging our days. They're not perfect anymore. There's no more rainbows and perfect days all the time anymore. So we got to fight to keep our positivity, right? It's a spiritual battle in your mind. They want you guys scared out of your mind and depressed and just give up. Well, I don't roll that way. I don't give up. You guys already have victory. You see it in front of you. You already have victory. So, in the meanwhile, patient endurance, try to help others, try to bring that light into other people's lives. You can do your part as well as warning people, hey, we could possibly be having some volcanoes and earthquakes coming up here, as well as wild weather, because the nucleation also, it could cause wild weather. That next hurricane, we're going to have to watch it closely because it has the possibility for the bombogenesis and a big storm surge again. And let's pray that doesn't happen, okay? Meanwhile, you guys are indeed caught up with me in the clouds. That means you know who you are now. You have your identity. Funny how the world's running around in this identity crisis. Everybody's trying to come up with this kind of fake identity that they are, when you know You belong to me. You are a child of God, and truly are. You truly are. It's because of who I am. Okay. I love you. I miss you. I have to go for right now, but until my next show, I will be back. I am already back. Take a look up. You will see me coming in the clouds with power and great glory. And if you see me coming in the clouds, you'll be caught up with me in the clouds like a good book. Then you come over to this channel and we meet in the air, where we can do our salvage work and bring that light into other people's lives. That's it for tonight. Gotta go. Love you all. Miss you all. I will be back. I am already back, and I am still to come. Bye.